Hello, my name is Mark Whelan, and this is for the Lockdown Lit project. I'm here in Silicon Valley in California. I live in a place called Los Altos Hills, which is the sort of wooded area outside of the main business district from, say, Cupertino and Mountain View, which is not far from Stanford University. And Simon asked me, how am I dealing with the adversity of the lockdown? And to be honest, I'm actually applying the things that I do in my business as a CEO of Human-Centered Leaders. So we are doing guided meditations, yoga, design thinking exercises where we imagine the future, and some thought experiments in which help give a sense of perspective. One of them that I think is particularly useful has been, how would I feel about this when I'm 90 years old? And I feel like if you think about things from the perspective as 90 years old, then this just becomes a blip. It's just a temporary thing that we're going to get through. It doesn't mean that it goes on forever. And the other thing that I've been doing is that writing these literary experiments in which I imagine bringing a writer from different periods of history into Silicon Valley and imagining what they would think. So, for example, one of the vignettes is, what would Charles Dickens think of Silicon Valley if he were living here? So The Tale of Two Cities, which is a story based between London and Paris, I've reimagined it, and it's called The Tale of Two Realities. So it's imagining the world, the importance of the real world, the physical world, and the virtual world. And in this case, this is the exercise is based on the work of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, The Love in the Time of Cholera. And so this quite aptly is called Love in the Time of Coronavirus. And I wanted to draw attention to, in this piece, that some of the more important aspects in which I think of day-to-day life in Silicon Valley, which is the division between the very wealthy. There are a lot of tech billionaires here and who live in second homes and who live in places where they're able to have social distancing. And there are other people that live in places where social distancing is just really a luxury that they cannot possibly afford. And perhaps also more importantly, that general healthcare here is so expensive that for those that are not working, and the prospect of having huge medical bills really concerns me. And that played a role in how I ended up writing this Love in the Time of Coronavirus. I shall begin. It was inevitable. The delicate yet pungent aroma of alcohol wipes always reminded him of the fate of unrequited hugs. Dr. Matteo Clara noticed it as soon as he walked past the sombre and still garage that had accumulated used face masks and cleaning products where he had hurried past due to a Facebook message that mentioned someone had been hit by a train near the Alma crossing in Palo Alto. It reminded him of his loss of all urgency beyond the spread of coronavirus. The young man, Steve Fletcher, was formerly a foster child who was turfed out as soon as he became legally responsible for himself, who had self-medicated with every substance known to human wickedness to dull the pain of exclusion and the ever-decreasing descent of dreams, and yet was most sympathetic to others who also couldn't find shelter in what was called the jungle in San Jose, but could help them escape from the cold, blank stares from the local residents and students of Stanford University. He had escaped the torments of cold uncertainty and the cloudy mental fog of homelessness, of being unwashed and permanently dazed, with the desire to hug the Cal train that approached him at 40 miles an hour with 100 tons. He found the corpse divided into unequal chunks of flesh and bone across the tracks, and one clump of bloodied matted hair that only the other day before rested unkempt and searching on the young man's head. On the floor lay the body of a black pit bull with a snow-white chest who had followed him unceremoniously into the path of the train. At a glance up at the splendour of the orange and burnt sienna sky was just beginning to conclude the events of the day, but there was enough light for him to recognise at once the hopelessness of events that led to this death. Well, thank you for your time, and I hope that provides us all with food for thought of how we can help each other with this difficult time. I hope you are happy, safe, and strong.